Oscar Piastri, the young Australian sensation, is facing the most challenging stretch of his Formula One career at the absolute worst possible moment. Just a few weeks ago, what seemed like a comfortable championship lead now teeters dangerously close to slipping through his fingers. Heading into this weekend's Mexican Grand Prix, Piastri sits only 14 points ahead of his McLaren teammate Lando Norris and 40 points clear of Max Verstappen. With 5 races left, the title is no longer a near certainty. It's a high-stakes battle, and any one of these 3 drivers could realistically emerge as the champion. For Piastri, the problem is not hypothetical. Over the last 10 races, his performance has dipped significantly. The United States Grand Prix in Austin was a stark example. Finishing 5th, Piastri struggled visibly, his confidence clearly shaken from the very first practice session. In qualifying, he lagged nearly 0.3 of a second behind Norris, a gap that might seem minor to casual fans, but in Formula One terms is enormous, especially between teammates who usually trade hundredths of a second. And then came the sprint race disaster. A crash at the first corner ended what little momentum he had. From Friday to Sunday, the Australian looked uncomfortable and disconnected from his car, a worrying sign with only 5 races left to regain his edge. To truly grasp the gravity of Piastri's situation, the numbers speak louder than words. In the opening 9 races of 2025, he was unstoppable. 5 wins, 4 pole positions, and the kind of dominant performance that builds championship leads. But over the past 10 races, only 2 victories and a single pole. That sharp decline has allowed both Norris and Verstappen to close the gap, turning what once looked like a runaway championship into a tense, nail-biting battle. Austin exposed more than just a temporary dip in form. It revealed a potentially deeper problem. Piastri's usual pattern of recovering during a race weekend vanished entirely. Unlike previous races, he never found the rhythm or pace to challenge Norris. From the first practice to the sprint race, he was slower in every session. This isn't just a bad weekend. It signals something more fundamental is amiss. After qualifying, Piastri candidly admitted, "Maybe not the best laps of my life. I struggled to find a rhythm on a bumpy track that demands confidence to push the car to the limit." The Circuit of the Americas is notorious. Sharp braking zones, high-speed corners, uneven surfaces. Confidence is the secret ingredient here. Without it, time is lost in multiple sectors, and Piastri lost plenty. McLaren team principal Andrea Stella shed light on the technical side. He explained that the car requires pushing brakes to the limit and trusting the front axle, a component that has troubled even the best drivers. Piastri was missing the rhythm and confidence to fully challenge the car, Stella said, diplomatically highlighting the psychological challenge of leading a championship for the first time. In simpler terms, Piastri is grappling with the mental side of driving a Formula One car at the edge, where the smallest doubt can cost crucial tenths of a second. Technically, the McLaren's tricky front suspension has been the silent culprit. It doesn't always provide drivers with precise feedback, making commitment through fast corners and bumps a constant challenge. Piastri had generally managed this better than Norris throughout the season, adapting to the car's quirks. But Austin brought the issues back to the forefront. He struggled to find workarounds, a skill he had previously relied on at other circuits. Third, difficulty is compounded by McLaren's decision not to bring further upgrades. For the remainder of 2025, Piastri now faces the daunting task of extracting maximum performance from the car as is. Meanwhile, Norris seems better suited to the current setup, using a slightly different front suspension configuration that offers better feel over tricky surfaces. This subtle difference has amplified the gap between teammates. And with limited practice time in sprint format weekends, Piastri can't experiment without risking valuable championship points. The Austin sprint weekend itself offered little reprieve. With only one practice session before sprint qualifying, Piastri had almost no time to adapt and rebuild confidence. Then, the crash at the first corner, turning into Nico Hülkenberg's wheel and being launched into Norris, robbing him of crucial laps. Those laps weren't just lost time. They were lost opportunities to regain rhythm and confidence, while Norris sailed smoothly through the weekend. Media narratives have not been kind. Insecure, struggling under pressure. These words now follow Piastri. And they are not without reason. This is his first real championship fight in Formula One, a scenario that tests mental resilience as much as driving skill. Unlike Norris and Verstappen, both of whom have experienced the psychological demands of title contention, Piastri is learning to cope under fire while it's happening. Every mistake is magnified when you lead a championship, and recent errors suggest the weight is pressing down on him. The upcoming 5 races are not just about points. They are a test of mental toughness. Being fast when you have nothing to lose is one thing. Maintaining pace when every point matters, when rivals are breathing down your neck, is another. Piastri publicly downplays the struggles, insisting that his performance drop is not a major concern and that he simply needs to rediscover his rhythm. But the numbers paint a starkly different picture. A driver who won 5 of 9 races should not suddenly be finishing 5th and unable to match teammates' pace. Even McLaren management has been seen checking Piastri's car after races, suggesting confusion about where the performance deficit truly lies. The Mexican Grand Prix could be the defining moment. Piastri needs to prove that Austin was an anomaly, not the beginning of a collapse. A strong weekend in Mexico could reinvigorate his championship challenge, keeping his 14-point lead over Norris and 40 over Verstappen intact. Failure, however, could accelerate the shift in momentum to his rivals, with the psychological pressure compounding each race. On paper, the mathematics still favor Piastri. With 141 points available in the final 5 races and 2 more sprint weekends to come, he remains in contention. But racing is not just about numbers. Momentum and confidence, 2 intangibles currently working against him, will likely play a far bigger role. Verstappen has won 3 of the last 4 races, appearing stronger with Red Bull's continuing car improvements. Norris, meanwhile, is steadily closing the gap, race by race. The momentum, undeniably, has swung. Piastri now faces a stark reality: adapt or falter. McLaren isn't changing the car. He must change his approach. Stella pointed out that he needs to refine how he handles low grip conditions and navigates bumps, a technical adjustment that requires both skill and courage. This is no longer about pure speed. It's about precision, confidence, and mental fortitude under pressure. The next 5 races will decide whether Piastri has the resilience to endure a championship fight, or whether inexperience will cost him what once seemed a straightforward title win. Right now, the psychological battlefield is as significant as the physical track. Rivals are gaining, confidence is slipping, and the clock is ticking. Mexico isn't just another race on the calendar. It's a pressure cooker, a defining crucible for a young driver on the edge of greatness or heartbreak. Piastri must summon everything he has learned this season and adapt on the fly, leveraging technique, mindset, and experience. The championship is still within reach, but the margin for error has vanished. A single mistake could tilt the scales irreversibly, transforming hope into desperation. And therein lies the drama of Formula One at its highest level. Raw talent meets relentless pressure. The mental game becomes as vital as mechanical perfection, and a single weekend can reshape the narrative of an entire season. Piastri's challenge is not merely to drive fast, it's to drive smart under duress, to rediscover rhythm and confidence, to demonstrate that he is not only a promising rookie, but a champion in the making. As the lights go out in Mexico, all eyes will be on Oscar Piastri. Can he silence the doubts? Fend off the experienced title contenders? and reclaim the momentum he once held with such dominance? Or will the weight of expectation, the sting of recent mistakes, and the relentless pace of Norris and Verstappen prove too much? In 5 races, we will know. For now, the tension is palpable, the stakes monumental, and the journey of this young Australian driver reaches a pivotal chapter. This weekend, more than ever, is about resilience, adaptation, and courage. Every lap will test Piastri's skill, focus, and mental fortitude. The championship may still be in his hands, but holding on to it will demand more than speed. It will demand composure, precision, and a champion's mindset under fire. Oscar Piastri enters Mexico not just racing against rivals, but racing against doubt, against momentum, against himself. What unfolds over the next 5 races will define not just his season, but his legacy. The story of 2025 is far from over, and the Australian driver's fight is only just beginning.